Hello everyone and welcome back to another math video. Today we're looking at the key features of quadratic equations. Just a reminder, this is the normal version of this lesson. If you'd like the speedrun version, I will link that in the description below. All right, 30-second recap. Here we go. This is what you have to know before you start this lesson. All right, you should already know about quadratic graphs and vertexes, y-intercepts, maximum minimums, axis of symmetry, all that terminology. Also, we should know about PEMDAS and order of operations and how to substitute in values and calculate from there. All right, if you don't know about quadratic graphs or PEMDAS, please do not attempt this lesson. I will link refreshers in the description below. Please go learn that before you try this lesson. All right, here we go. So in the last lesson, it said, they gave us a graph and they said find the y-intercept. And that, you just have to sort of look at the graph. Well, here, what happens when they don't give you a graph? Okay, and so in this problem, to find the y-intercept of the parabola is just the shape, right, of a u or a upside down u. Okay, quadratics are shaped like parabolas. To find the y-intercept, we need to remember, let's put it in standard form. So this is y equals x squared plus 0x, right? There's no x term in the middle, so it's just 0x, and then minus 8. And the y-intercept is always the c term. Okay, so the c term is always the number by itself, and so the y-intercept is located at 0, negative 8. If we were to graph this, okay, this would be at 0, negative 8. And just to confirm, here is the graph, right? You can see that the y-intercept is located at 0, negative 8. All right, it's time to practice what we just learned. Here's our cool clock for today. So go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems on your own, and when you're ready, you can unpause and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. For the first problem, you should have said that the y-intercept is located at 0, 7. And for the second problem, you should have said it's located at 0, 0, even though there's no 0 written at the end, right? There's an invisible 0 there. All right, this says find the equation of the axis of symmetry. All right, and normally, you look at the graph and you just sort of split it down the middle. However, here, to find the equation of the axis of symmetry, there's a formula, and it's x equals negative b divided by 2 times a. And so we should be able to look at this and say, okay, a is 10, b is 10, c is negative 7, and so we just plug in, right? So let's replace the b with 10. And let's replace the a with 10 as well. Okay, because both of them are 10. And then we just calculate. So now we're going to have negative 10 divided by 20. This is a fraction which can be reduced into negative 1/2. And so actually we should write it x equals. All right, so our equation, final answer is x equals negative 1/2. And this is our final answer. So this formula, negative b over 2a, is just a formula we need to sort of memorize. All right, time to practice. Go ahead and pause the video, try these two on your own. When you're ready, you can unpause and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. All right, for the first problem here is the work. You should have said x equals negative 5 over 4. And for the second problem, you should have gotten x equals 0, because you have a 0 in the numerator. 0 divided by anything is just 0. Okay, now to find the vertex, we're actually going to use our axis of symmetry. So first, let's calculate the axis of symmetry again. A equals 1, b equals negative 3, c equals negative 4. We do negative b over 2 times a, whoops, just 1. All right, notice you have a negative here because the formula has a negative and then b is a negative number, so we're going to get positive 3 over 2. All right, this is actually, remember, this is the x coordinate, right? X equals 3 over 2. So this is the x coordinate, and now to get the y coordinate, we're going to take this number, this 3 over 2, and we're going to plug it in for every x that we see. So here was the original. Let's replace every x with a 3 over 2. You could do 1.5 if you prefer decimals. I'll leave it as a fraction for now. And I'm going to use parentheses whenever I substitute, because I think that's a good habit. All right, and from here, you can do this by hand. You can plug it into a calculator. You can change it to a decimal. I mean, however you want to work with it. I'm going to plug it into a calculator. And after you have plugged it into a calculator, you should get negative 25 over 4, which is, you know, the same as negative 6.25. All right, so final answer here. This was the y-coordinate, right? This was the y-coordinate. So the vertex is two numbers. The first one is 3 over 2. That's the x. And the y-coordinate is negative 25 over 4. This is our final answer here. You could put that as a decimal as well. All right, time to practice. Go ahead and pause the video, try these two on your own, and when you're ready, you can unpause and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem, you should have gotten negative 1 comma 4. Here's the work if you want to check yourself. And for the second problem, you should have gotten 0 comma 0. All right, to find the maximum value, right? The maximum value is just the vertex, basically. So we should already know how to do vertex from the previous problems, right? We do negative b over 2a, so that would be negative 6 over 2 times negative 10. This gives me 6 over negative 20, which reduced, that gives me negative 3/10. All right, that's the x-coordinate, and then we just plug that back in, right? So then we get y equals negative 10 times negative 3 over 10 squared minus 6 times 3 over 10 minus 1. Plug that into a calculator. And when you do that, or you do it by hand or whatever, you get negative 1/10. So your vertex is located at negative 3/10 and negative 1/10. But the maximum value, remember, is just the y value. So the maximum value is at negative 1/10. All right, time to practice. Go ahead and pause the video. Try these on your own. When you're ready, unpause and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem here is the work. You should have gotten a maximum of 9. And for the second problem, you should have gotten a minimum of 0. Here's the work. All right, that is it for today. I hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.